G'day, I'm Cahn. After my last video where I compared 12 volt to 240 volt kettles, I got a lot of opinions. I don't know what it is about boiling water, but the last time I did a comparison like this, induction stoves versus gas, it kicked off in the comments as well. This time I had people telling me that I'd used the wrong voltage or the voltage was too low. A lot of people were concerned about the wiring, which I think I might have fixed in this video. A lot of people were saying that this kettle, because it looks like a thermos, must have better insulation, and because it's sealed better, of course it was gonna win. And people were concerned that potentially some of the kettles were boiling beyond 100 degrees Celsius, so they were just continuing boiling, using a lot more energy. So I'm gonna test for that as well. Then, of course, I had people mentioning induction and gas. So I've got a Jetboil and I'll be comparing it to these setups. But what I want to do in this video is actually take some of those suggestions and changes on board and see how much of a difference they actually make. Because if you're running this stuff in your vehicle or RV off batteries, then some of these small changes could actually make a big difference. Now, the other thing I had was a lot of British people who were very concerned whether I'd made cups of tea with this water. So hopefully Yorkshire tea is appropriate. Had a couple of Canadians who are just here for the accent, as it turns out, and a fair few Europeans, some of which I'm still trying to translate the comments on, so hopefully I get this right. So let's get into it. Before I change anything, I'll just run through the baseline from last week's testing. So this kettle used around 54 watt hours, this one used around 63 watt hours, and this one used around 71 watt hours, and they boiled in about 8, 20, and 25 minutes respectively. Now this one had the SIG plug on it and about 1.5 meters of wiring. So I've cut that off and replaced it with a very short, heavy gauge wire with an Anderson plug. So that should fix that problem, and we'll see how it improves the results. The 240 volt kettle boiled in under 2 minutes, used around 67 watt hours, including the inverter efficiency losses, which worked out to be around 93%. So without it, it would have averaged around 63 watt hours. So let's get into it. First things first, I'm gonna test this kettle again with a much higher voltage. So water temp is 24.6 degrees Celsius, and I am going to get exactly 500 mils. So first up, voltage. Now in the last test, I was around 13.2 volts, which isn't low in the scheme of things, but people were saying if you were plugging this in and you had your alternator running, it might be at a higher voltage. So I've got my power supply here set to 14.6 volts. So I'm gonna see if it's any faster, whether it draws any more power, and whether it beats the baseline from the last test. So this is the original wiring for this kettle, running through the shunt and a main fuse here, then into the Anderson plug. So we'll set the stopwatch. I've got the Victron shunt recording. So under load, it's at 14.48 volts and it's drawing 239 watts. Drawing. That's another comment I got, a drinking game, every time I say drawing instead of drawing. Anyway, have a shot. The other thing that I noticed is that the fuse has melted, and I'm reading about 63, 71 degrees Celsius. Hopefully that works again. Hopefully it'll last this entire test, because this is a 15 amp fuse and it's pulling around 16.5 amps, so we'll see. Yeah, look, I don't think that's gonna last. Uh-oh. All right, so that just popped the fuse. I don't think it should be able to bend that much. That's what's left of that fuse. Let this cool down a little bit. Move on to the next test. So to make sure that I'm comparing to the baseline for this particular kettle, I'm actually going to use the battery again, so it'll be down around 13.2 volts or thereabouts, so it'll closely match last week's test. Now, previously, this one had about 1.5 meters of quite thin gauge cable and then a SIG plug, which I had going into a SIG socket, then into the shunt, then to the batteries. So this time, I'm minimizing it completely. I'm basically just gonna go Kettle, into the Anderson plug, into the shunt, and then directly to the battery. So let's connect it up. Right, it's reading about 24.1 degrees, so I'll use that for my starting calculation. Now last time this kettle took about 25 minutes to boil, so we'll see what happens this time. It was only drawing about 180 watts though. We'll see. So this is reading 13.48, 13.49 volts with no load. So once we connect it, we'll see what it actually drops to. This might be a bit interesting. There we go. Start the stopwatch. So 13.3 volts and just over 200 watts. So I'm imagining this will take about 20 minutes to boil. We'll see. So we're about 10 minutes in now. Battery's down at 13.13 volts. That's under load. And 196 watts or thereabouts. 30.3. So that is a far cry. A much, much better number than last time when this had the SIG plug on it. So we'll give it another 5 minutes or so and I reckon this one will be done. All right, that was 19 minutes, 25 seconds. So working it out, it used around 63 watt hours compared to around 71 watt hours when we had the 1.5 meters of thinner gauge cable and the SIG plug. So that's a significant difference in the scheme of things. Now let's see how much we've got left. 493 milliliters. Next up, we're back to the 350 watt quick boil kettle. This time I'm going to test it without the lid to see how much of a difference it makes. All right, next up, a lot of people talked about this particular kettle saying that it looked like a thermos. The reality is it's not vacuum insulated. It doesn't even have any more or less insulation in my opinion than these kettles. It has a clear plastic lining and then the external black plastic lining. So when you look inside it, you can see it's actually just 2 layers of plastic. I assume if I disassembled this, you could probably slide these apart fairly easily. So last time this took 8 minutes and around 54 watt hours. Now that's with the lid on, obviously. Don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it does have a pinhole right in the middle, about 1 millimeter in diameter, because if you did actually seal this up completely, it'd build up pressure and that'd be very dangerous. So yes, while it's minimizing heat loss, it's not sealed completely. So in this test, I'm actually going to leave it completely open and see the difference. I've now charged up and connected both batteries because if this is pulling 400 watts, I don't want that voltage to dip too much. So again, let's do it. So we're at 25.2 degrees Celsius for the water here. So we'll be back in about 8 to 10 minutes, I suppose. So pulling about 405 watts at the moment, or for my shot drinking friend, drawing. I don't know. We're at 96 degrees, 97. It's just turned off. 8.5 minutes, just over, about 8 minutes 31. And that works out to be about 57 watt hours. So last time was about 54 watt hours. What's that, around 5-6% increase not having the lid on, which obviously is a difference, not a huge difference. So this isn't some magic bullet, but it really comes down to how much water you're heating, how much power you have, and the efficiency of your system. Let's measure that one. 495 mils. Next up, induction versus 240 volt kettle. Let's do it. So I've reset the bench and finally I can do the induction cooktop test. Again, 500 ml of water And you might have noticed I've had to change the pan, which is probably a good thing. It's got a glass lid so I can actually see what's going on. And that fits nicely in there, so I'll be able to see when it's actually boiling and turn it off and get the right result. Now I've actually charged both these batteries back up so they're full. And when I did the kettle test a couple of weeks ago, the kettle was the first test I did, the 240 volt kettle, the first one I did on the fully charged battery. So the variables here should be the same. As always, I'm using an AC watt meter so I can measure what's actually coming out of the inverter into the induction cooktop, compare that to what the shunt is reading so that I can see efficiency in this part of the system and the whole system. Now the kettle did it in 1:55 and used around 70 watt hours inclusive of the losses in the 12 volt to 240 volt conversion. If you didn't factor those losses in, it used around 63 to 64 watt hours. I'll put the numbers up on screen, but let's pour 500 mils into here, set this up and get it going. Ooh, temperature is 24.6. Looks good to me, 500 mil. Here we go. Where's the boil button here? $97, $98, $99, $100. Yeah, you can tell it's boiling because it just exploded. So that was about 2 minutes 40. Quickly get that off there. 488 mils. So just doing some quick maths, I believe that used around 78 watt hours as a total system and around 73 watt hours if you just calculated it based on the AC output. Took about 2 minutes 40, 2 minutes 45. I'll put the exact numbers up on screen when I review the footage. So that means it wasn't as efficient as a kettle, which actually makes sense because when you think about it, you're using the induction coil to then heat the pan, which is then heating the water. Whereas in a kettle, basically all of the energy is dedicated to heating the water through that resistive element. So 240 volt kettle is still the winner so far, but finally I will test the Jetboil. And then I'll rearrange the bench again because I'm going to give the 150 watt kettle at 14.6 volts one more attempt, see if anything drastic happens. I might even put a 20 amp fuse in, which I wouldn't recommend, but we'll see. So finally, the Jetboil. Now, in my last video I did about a month ago where I compared gas versus induction, I talked about Jetboils as being one of the more efficient ways to use gas because the flame is really close to the surface you're heating, and then there's all these specially designed heat fins. In that test, I was using 2 liters of water as my baseline, so the results don't really apply here. Now that I'm using 500 mil, this will be perfect. So I've assembled it, I've weighed it. I'm going to take that off so I can actually weigh it. And we've got 637 grams as is. Water temperature is 24.3 degrees Celsius. 500. So I've just gone to full power because I don't want to mess about. That's as open as that valve can go. So it's at 84, 85 degrees there, just at 1 minute 55. So not quite as fast as a 240 volt kettle, but I assume that the energy output or the power output of this is not as much as a 2200 watt kettle. 97, 98, 99, 100. So that was 2 minutes 23. We're at 493. 494. So it was 637 grams. Now 633 grams. So I'm also just weighing the isobutane canister after the test, 290 grams remaining. 4 to 6 grams of gas, depending on whether I measured just the canister itself, which showed a variation of 6 grams. The whole kit showed 4 grams. So I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and go in the middle. We'll say that it used 5 grams of isobutane and I'll work that out. So 5 grams of isobutane is around 63 to 64 watt hours of energy. So it wasn't the best, it wasn't the fastest, but it wasn't bad. And considering Jetboils are lightweight, easy to pack, nice and compact, still a good option, but not as efficient as electric. Now, finally, I'm going to test this one again. I'm actually going to put a 20 amp fuse and see what happens. But that'll be the final test, then we can put all this together. 14.6 volts on the power supply. I'm now going to use a 20 amp fuse. The wiring should be able to take it, but I reckon this fuse holder is going to get pretty warm with 240 watts going through it. So we'll see. So that is set to 14.6 volts. Water temp is 24.4. Very good. So that's 500. $243 watts. So let's see, we'll give it 20 minutes and see what happens. Quick update, we're about 11.5 minutes in and I just read about 70 degrees Celsius and hold that as steady as possible. $15.47. So I'm reading a max there of 71.3. $499 milliliters left. So what's fascinating about that was it took about 15 minutes, 47 seconds and averaged around 242 to 243 watts. So overall watt hours, it was about 64 watt hours, which is almost identical to what I got in the first test when this was tested at 13.2 volts. And it just goes to show that there's a certain amount of energy required to boil water. So whether you do it fast or slow, it's the same amount of energy overall. So what does this mean for the whole takeaway here? Well, basically everyone in the comments was pointing at different parts of the system, but they're all pointing out the same thing, where the energy is going. If it's not going into boiling the water, then it's being wasted and it's less efficient. So at the end of the day, to boil a certain amount of water takes a certain amount of energy. That's just physics. That's what I said in the last video. It doesn't matter whether you do it fast or slow. So some people in the comments were sort of right. Some people were sort of wrong. I think even if I had tried to run these at 24 volts, if I could get it to work, it might be twice as fast, but it would use twice as much power, and therefore twice as much power for half the time is the same energy overall. If anyone else does have any ideas, please leave them in the comments. And if you've got any ideas for future tests, let me know. I'm thinking of doing something with fridges next because I got a lot of comments last time about those as well. As always, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone from around the world for commenting. I really appreciate it. And a massive thanks to all my channel members. As always, huge shout out. It means a massive deal. So if anyone else does want to join up, it's open, it's completely optional. I'm going to keep making these hopefully helpful videos regardless. And until next time, cheers.